everybody, welcome back to Rob's Gaming Table. Today on the table we're doing a live discussion reaction, kind of planned, not really planned, I don't know. But if you're watching this later, please don't leave a comment saying I just rambled on about blah blah blah, because I'm going to do that. Reading through a Kickstarter after the fact, making notes and plans. We're here half hour before the Kickstarter goes live for Cool Mini or Nots, aka CMON, aka CMON, aka whatever they're called this year. Their new Kickstarter, their Massive Darkness 2 Hellscape. We're going to check it out here. Also, I'm not a Massive Darkness fanboy by any means, so if you're here from the hardcore community of Massive Darkness, you love Massive Darkness, all the power to you, that's great. But I've never played Massive Darkness, so disclaimer up front, I'm coming at this as this might be my entry point into Massive Darkness. And we'll go through all those thoughts here. I have some stuff to talk about for the next 30-ish minutes, but I want to hear your guys' reaction. Everyone out there, thank you all for joining live. I appreciate it for your time. And if you have any thoughts on this, I want to hear them. As we look through the Kickstarter, as it launches, we'll bring it up. We'll go through it. I've done this before for Frosthaven. I think something else I did it for. I can't remember, but I'm a sucker for fantasy, dungeon crawling games, and those kind of Kickstarters. And it doesn't have to be full of minis, but in this case, of course, it's CMON, or come on. It will be full of minis. But yes, I'm a huge fan. I play through these kind of games on the channel. We have playthroughs of Tainted Grail, Gloomhaven, Jaws of the Lion, Sword and Sorcery. I don't know what else. There's a whole bunch in there. Zombicides, I guess, are relevant to this discussion since that's kind of on the same plane of game. But Massive Darkness. This is, you see the box up here. This is what they're going to be having in the Kickstarter. It's a second, not a second edition, it's like part 2. Like they've improved, they supposedly listened to the community. There was a big, the reception of Massive Darkness was a big meh. That's what I got from it. At the time I was really into backing Kickstarters. I was backing a bunch of stuff. When I saw everything about Massive Darkness, it just screamed Zombicide. I don't know, it was like Zombicide with a tacked on campaign. But it felt just like more Zombicide, and at the time, I think I was already getting sick of backing a ton of Zombicide. And I can't remember if Black Plague was before that or after, but maybe I already had Black Plague, or I knew about Black Plague, or I was just playing other dungeon crawlers at the time. I don't know. Maybe it was around when Dark Souls, I already backed Dark Souls, and maybe it was like, I don't need any of this. But it was back in 2016 when the original Massive Darkness hit Kickstarter, delivered sometime in 2017. And if there's anyone here that knows more about Massive Darkness, feel free to chime in the chat and say anything to educate us the differences. Because like I said, I've never played the first one, but from what I understand, after watching a live stream that the developers did during Gen Con, you can check it out on CMON's Facebook page. They supposedly did 2 Q&As with the developers, about an hour long each. They unveiled miniatures, they talked about game mechanics, they talked about classes. But yesterday on Quackalope, a fellow YouTuber, he did a playthrough on Tabletop Simulator with those same developers or the designers or whatever of the game. And warning, like I said, it's on Tabletop Simulator. So yeah, he did the best with what he could, it looks like. But I sat through about an hour of that, couldn't watch it anymore. The whole Tabletop Simulator, hands flying around, poor quality. I don't know. I'm just not a fan of watching games on Tabletop Simulator. That's me. But if you're really interested in watching this game be played, looks like they played like the 0 scenario or first scenario. If you guys know what a 0 scenario is in Cool Mini or Not games or Zombicide games, it's like the tutorial scenario. It's just straight, like a few tiles, kind of gets used to the mechanics, runs you through a few rules, and then tacks on more later. That's what they played. But Alan says Massive Darkness, one of the few dungeon crawlers he doesn't have. Was curious about Massive Darkness. Anyone? How different will version 2 be? Winter Sunset is very different. And that's what I'm getting from this. I'm getting that Massive Darkness 2 is similar into complexity level. You're rolling dice, you're moving minis around, the tiles look the same, you're gonna have player boards, you're leveling up your guy. The mechanics aren't too complex. This is more of a Zombicide weight game. You know, have some beers, get some popcorn, roll some dice. It's like comic book, you know, kind of fun. Like the art is like very comical and it's lighthearted. It's not meant to be heavy. It's more trying to target the mainstream. Jeff Jordan, thank you so much for becoming a $5 patron. Thank you so much. Thanks for becoming a supporter of Rob's Gaming Table, or actually a producer tier, producer tier of Rob's Gaming Table. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining the crowd. Make sure your Patreon and Discord are linked up. If you don't have a Discord account, go set one up. Join our producer private Discord, and we can chat in there and share some funny pictures and rip on Kickstarters like I'm about to do here. No, don't really play with popcorn with your board games. I'm just saying popcorn's like light and fluffy snack. You know, that's what Zombicide is. It's a light and fluffy kind of dungeon crawling experience. Any Zombicide. So Massive Darkness is a similar. You can tell he took the hype and popularity of Zombicide and went, let's take that foundation. It's by Guillotine Games, same guys that did Zombicide, working with Coolman or not, and they created like more of like a dungeon crawly RPG, Dungeons and Dragons theme kind of Zombicide. Okay, but from the first one, I didn't want to back it because it seemed like more Zombicide, and I heard the campaign was kind of tacked on. And then when the game hit, I was going to grab it at retail. I didn't want to back the Kickstarter, but I decided not to get it at retail even, which is weird. Like looking back, I'm surprised I didn't. But yeah, I just heard big meh. I just heard it was super meh. It had its hardcore fans, the customization community, just like with Dark Souls, the board game. The game is not the greatest until you start playing with community balancing and community rules, and people just take the components from a game and the base rules and just take it to the next level. And I think that's what happened with Massive Darkness, and that's why I think it still has quite the following. And that's the reason I think why they're doing Massive Darkness 2, because they feel they could take it and get a hit this time. And everyone knows why. It's because Gloomhaven. Gloomhaven is #1. You got a fantasy dungeon crawler, design that thing, get it out. There's money for that right now. People are looking for that. Hence Frosthaven crushing on Kickstarter and that kind of stuff. So, yes. So I'm going to give you some thoughts here. Here's how I'm coming at it. Here's my excitement level. It's not through the roof or anything like that, but watching those developer live streams talking about the game, talking about the improvements, know that the community was complaining about things or not very happy about certain things and the way they've changed it and tried to improve it, but still keep it like, you know, medium to lightweight, which is something Zombicide fills in my category, in my catalog for that. And I have players I play with that love Zombicide. We have fans on the channel that have loved our Zombicide playthroughs in the past of all the different Zombicides. I've always backed almost every single Zombicide and got them just because they're fun. Mel loves them, my wife. She loves that game, loves that series. A lot of the board gamers we played with over the years, those are some of the first games we showed them to get them in kind of like, you know, modern board gaming, that kind of stuff. They're not heavy. They're just dice rolling fun. Dice rolling, moving your guy around on a map, blowing up zombies. And that's what this kind of like. It's killing bad guys, killing mobs of bad guys. They're dropping loot, you're collecting the loot, you're leveling up, you're getting better at your abilities, and you're eventually fighting a boss, you're going through a dungeon. Basic stuff. And this fits a niche in my collection, Massive Darkness. If I had it, it would be a kind of like a lighter dungeon crawler experience is what it would be filling. But I'm not sure if it's too light. I don't want something too light, but I want something that I can play with certain players in our groups that maybe have shorter attention spans, don't want to listen to me blab on an hour trying to teach them the rules. I want something where players can show up on one of our weeknight streams and we can continue through a campaign. It doesn't take too long. It's fun, some dice rolling, have some laughs over the randomness and the risk and you know, going for the big play, rolling some dice casino style and being sad or cheering based on some randomness. That's what you're kind of getting out of this. It's similar to Dark Souls, a board game, that kind of feeling I get from it, but I could be wrong. But I've never played Massive Darkness. All right. Let's switch over to the web browser. Let's discuss. Chris Mathis says, I already spent my Kickstarter budget this year on Alter Quests. Alter Quest is a game I'd love to get in my collection too and play on the channel. This is the problem. I didn't even think of Alter Quests. But I'm going to discuss some of the things that may make me not give two craps about Massive Darkness 2 and maybe make you realize maybe you don't need to throw millions of dollars at CMON this time. And if you don't this time, don't worry. Literally the day after the campaign ends, they'll already have teasers and advertisements and talk about their next Kickstarter. You know, and you can just jump in the queue, grab whatever Kickstarters you want. Don't worry, if you miss out on a CMON Kickstarter or you're not sure, most of them come to retail. The ones that didn't, nobody cares about. The ones that do come to retail, you have a chance to grab it at a cheaper price, saving on shipping, supporting your local game store, and not getting content that you'll never play. That's how I look at it. So this might be a wait for retail for me. This might be a back on Kickstarter. We'll see what they show us. But They have a coming soon page up. I've linked this down in the description of the video. If you want to bring this up, mark yourself. There's 12,000. Here, let me refresh actually. I bet I can. Yeah. There are over 12,000 people who have marked this as saved, waiting for an email to let them know when this goes live. So this Kickstarter is going to shoot up, I'm sure. It's at least people interested, right? Why is YouTube? Guys still see me okay? Everything all right? Longer can see chat. I don't know, the YouTube window just crashed here. Fun of doing this live. Thanks, YouTube. Like, change the back end. Okay, it loaded that time. I had to refresh it like 3 times. Yeah, YouTube is giving me errors all morning trying to create live streams, so I'm sorry if this craps out during the middle of it. Okay, I see the chat again. Let's see. Rob's the traitor. Wait, hang on. Rob dissuades us from spending money on games? No, we're gonna see. I might be super excited based on what we see, but I'm trying to like curb your enthusiasm a little bit and look at it like realistically, okay? Because there's a lot of Kickstarters that have come out. So here's the issue. So Massive Darkness, this was their Kickstarter, $3.5 million back in 2016. This is what it's based on, but they've improved it. It's like a new version of the game, new heroes, new minis, new mechanics, but it's still, the foundation is the same. There's tiles, you're rolling dice, you're leveling up, you're moving miniatures around. It's more of like a hack and slash, more of like an action flick kind of a dungeon crawl RPG experience. Not like too serious, not too hardcore. It doesn't have like layers and layers of mechanics. It's not too deep, I'm sure. I'm sure the story will be light decisions, you know, lots of randomness. It's just trying to put fun in the box, but like not too hard to get to the table is what I think. But I could be wrong. Massive Darkness has a 7.3 on Board Game Geek. 805 overall of all board games on the whole website. There's a whole database of like all board games, and that's pretty damn high considering. So it has a hardcore fan base. That's what that tells me. Probably has an active forums. Has a lot of fans that maybe come on, or the community is rallying up to rate this game, and that's how it's hit 805. Okay, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Join the adventures of the Lightbringers. It's funny, it's called Lightbringers, Light Dungeon Crawler. I don't know if that was on purpose. But 1 to 6 players, best with 4, 120-minute playtime, age 14 plus, but 10 plus is what they're saying. 2.54 out of 5. So not that complex. It's not even in the 3s. This is like light dungeon crawl. So don't expect like epic, deep, 500-page campaign book. Nothing like that. Okay. This game will be like the Zombicide cookie cutter, where there's 10 standalone missions that bore the crap out of me, except they're going to ask you to purchase a campaign expansion to add a campaign to the game, and who knows how well that's done. Was it an afterthought? Is that why there's no campaign in the box? Is it just like a money grab? I don't know why they're doing that and not including in the box by default, because that would help them compete more with these campaign games that are rocking on Kickstarter and everyone's loving. Here's the campaign box. So this is what you have to buy. This is some expansion. They've been showing images already. It's called Massive Darkness 2 Heavenfall. It's the campaign mode expansion. It supposedly comes with extra components to tie those 10 scenarios that come in the base game together, is my understanding, to create branching paths, to add some new mechanics, components, that kind of stuff, to spice it up, make it more meaty, and give you a campaign. Instead of just playing the one-off missions, you'll level up, I guess, a little slower, and it'll kind of prolong it over a campaign for those that want it. But it's an option, it looks like. It's extra. Another one that's mentioned in the chat, I see Ghost Child's mentioning Madara. This is the problem. This is a very crowded space. Is Massive Darkness relevant anymore? Was it ever relevant? Does it have a place in anyone's collection that's watching this stream or this channel? Maybe not. I don't know. But I'm interested. I'm interested. That's why I'm here doing this live stream with you guys. Dark decisions. Let's see. Cobra says, I won't be back in it, but still curious. I'm at the curious level right now. But that could change when the Kickstarter launches in 15-ish minutes. Okay, 15 minutes from now, 3 p.m. Eastern, August 4th, it launches. That's today. Here's the big issue. Here's the big issue. This game, this is all we know about Descent Legends of the Dark from Fantasy Flight Games. These guys are the guys that make Descent. They're like the king of dungeon crawler, at least they were for years. When you get into the hobby, you look for dungeon crawler, you hear about dungeon crawlers. Everyone talks about Descent being the granddaddy of dungeon crawlers, of the modern dungeon crawlers over the last decade kind of thing. It's still talked about to this day. The only problem is you need a dungeon master, or you need to use an app or some additional expansions to even play it like fully co-op. And I've heard mixed things about the app. I haven't played a ton of Descent, but Descent was cool for what it was. And then Gloomhaven came out later and crushed everything. Gloomhaven is the #1 board game of all time right now on Board Game Geek. It is a 20+ pound box, I believe. Has 95 scenarios in it, tons of enemies, standees. There's a bunch of miniatures for your characters, tons of unlockable classes. It takes tropes from the legacy genre, where there's hidden boxes you need to unlock. Has a campaign book, has a ton of branching paths. It's fully co-op. You don't need a dungeon master. Has AI, and that's the big daddy. So all these companies, and including CMON here with this game, Guillotine Games with Massive Darkness 2, has to worry about Gloomhaven. And now we have Descent Legends of the Dark. This was the most talked about, I think, most exciting thing announced at Gen Con Online 2020, which just happened last weekend, a couple days ago. And all we got was this box art. That's all we know. We know the title on the box art. We know it's Act 1. We know it's designed by 2 designers who worked on Descent 2nd edition expansions. That's all we know. We know it's a giant box here, like super giant. But again, it's Fantasy Flight Games, so 30% of that is air, covered with a cardboard insert to make it look like there's more in the box, but it won't weigh that much. I don't know. Maybe they're changing their tune, but the most recent games I bought for Fantasy Flight Games still come with 30% air. I don't know if like someone from Hostess or Frito-Lay, whoever works for the chip companies, works at Fantasy Flight Games, and they like to fill their product with air to make it bloated and look like it's more than what you're getting. But I'm tired of that. A lot of these games from Kickstarter don't do that. They come, they weigh 20 pounds, and that box is ram-packed. You're having trouble putting the damn game back in the box after. I'm worried this Descent box, after the hype, I've kind of calmed down and went, wait, this is Fantasy Flight Games here. Are they just going to give us a taste in this box, and we're going to have to buy 65 expansions? Like, they're still doing it with Lord of the Rings, Journeys to Middle-earth, not including single miniatures, like 3 boss miniatures for a scenario in an expansion. They separate them out into a mini expansion. Like, why? Just give me those 2 extra miniatures or 3 extra miniatures in the damn base game and charge me the extra 30 cents they cost. Like, it's dumb. It's dumb. But it's Descent, I'm super excited about, and if this was out right now over Massive Darkness, I'd probably throw my money here. But this game probably won't hit Kickstarter. It's going to hit retail. Who knows when? Who knows if it's finished? It could hit retail this fall. You won't have to wait a year like a Kickstarter. Maybe you will have to wait a year. Maybe this is Gen Con 2021 that this game is going to hit. Maybe next spring. Who knows? We know nothing. We know nothing about this game other than Fantasy Flight Games is getting asked about it on every live stream I watched, no matter what game they're streaming, and people are saying, when is this coming? And they say you'll get more information on their website in the future, and you'll see it on live streams on their Twitch channel and YouTube channel in the future. All we've got. But this is something to think about. That's kind of making me say, maybe I don't back Massive Darkness 2 Hellscape and I wait for that to hit retail, because this may come first and I might be more excited about this. And this may fill that lighter dungeon crawler. Maybe not. Maybe they've competing with Gloomhaven here and they've beefed this thing up and added more complexity and give it more weight behind it. Deeper story, campaign, who knows? Who knows what they're doing in here? But this is something to think about before you throw your money at Massive Darkness 2 Hellscape. Another game that just reopened late pledges and reopened their backer kit, and supposedly I think the last they said was coming out in May of 2021, is Oathsworn. This is one of the more talked about dungeon crawlers. It gets mentioned to me ever since it was announced. I've been getting private messages, tweets, comments on my page, people mentioning this game in the chat on our live streams, because I think my love for Dark Souls, my love for Gloomhaven, this is like all those heavy Gloomhaven, big boss fights, story, campaign book, branching paths, all that stuff. All those games that have that stuff had a baby, and Oathsworn is the game that came from that. So this game, until August 31st, 2020, you can get back into it, you can back it. And my God, have people done so. And I did myself. So this is now, the backers have shot up. It's now at $3.1 million on Kickstarter. It raised 1.9, and this is this company's first game ever. Okay, and it raised $1.9 million, which tells you something. And they've opened the backer kit. It's now up to $3.1 million raised for this game. So you can go click on the late pledge button, go find Oathsworn on Kickstarter if you're interested to read more. Hit late pledges. It now brings you to some store here, and you can read about the different pledges. They have a standee game for those Gloomhaven fans who don't need tons of miniatures. 99 bucks. But seeing what's included in this game, seeing what they're doing with this game, how ambitious this game is, and I watched on Roll for Crits YouTube channel, I watched some of their Gen Con coverage. They had the designer of this game talking about the project, updating about the project. That's what made me get in on this. That's what made me finally go, all right, I'm in. Okay, I was already super interested that you guys were talking about it. At the time, I just started doing YouTube full time. I did not have the funds to back a game like this, but I was curious to wait on it. And here, a second chance came around, and based on reading up on it, watching that the designer talk about the game and how much is included in here, it is pricey. This is like Dark Souls, the board game price in my world. It's expensive. But it hits that niche, and it looks like it's done better. And if you're mashing like Dark Souls plus Gloomhaven for me, you take my money. I got to do it. And this is the kind of stuff I'm going to look at. How much am I getting for my $100, $200, $300 from CMON versus a game like this, where this is targeted more at the hardcore market like myself versus the light, fluffy dungeon crawler that may be coming in the CMON box. I don't know. Like a box full of minis is not what sells me. It's got to have a good game behind it. I want to keep getting it to the table, and I'm having a great time. And challenges me is one thing I look for, and I don't know. We'll see. But again, I don't need a lot of the same game in my collection. So if Hellscape Massive Darkness 2 is offering me something different, I may still want it in my collection to play with certain players that I wouldn't play Oathsworn with, that I won't play Dark Souls with, that I won't play Gloomhaven with. That could be fine. But anyways, here's another reason I just spent $250 US on this, including shipping, including all I added was like a secret box. I did the $179 core pledge, but I just did this recently. This just opened up on August 1st. They reopened this backer kit, and yeah. So like after doing that, do I want to get Massive Darkness? I see a lot of you guys in the chat saying like, you just spent so much this year on Kickstarter, including Frosthaven I backed, that kind of thing. It's like, you know, how many of these games do you need to back? But I'm still interested to check out Massive Darkness 2. Another game, Sword and Sorcery, the like second wave called Ancient Chronicles. Okay, I love Sword and Sorcery. This was my Descent killer. We've played through the full Sword and Sorcery base box, the one you can find at retail. We've played through just that base box of scenarios and played through that storybook, branching paths, rolling dice, building dungeons. It just feels like a better Descent, and it has great AI. It's fun. Not everyone loves it, but they redid a Kickstarter last year, a whole second wave of stuff. I haven't even got through all the first wave of stuff. Stay tuned, more of that coming soon to the channel, I'm sure. TM, soon TM. But they have a whole wave of this stuff coming next year, early next year. So if you're into Sword and Sorcery, there's more coming. And this will hit retail. This you'll be able to get. There'll be expansions if you want to keep playing more past the base box. Again, crowded market. I love Sword and Sorcery. It's already in my collection. Do I need Massive Darkness? I don't know. Then there's this little game, which we mentioned a few times, Frosthaven. Like almost $13 million US on Kickstarter. Who knows how much in the backer kit after the fact people added and upgraded. Who knows how much money this guy's going to rake in by the end of it. Not to even mention when it hits retail, which Gloomhaven did great at retail, I'm sure, and still does. It's still hard to find sometimes. And there's still waves of it coming and printed all the time. Yeah, Frosthaven. Coming next year. It's going to be delayed now. Supposedly Isaac, the designer, broke his hand. That's going to cause delays or something. So originally they were aiming for, I think, March. And that's, I don't know how long it's going to be delayed for. It's a Kickstarter. Expect delays. Don't worry about when you get your game. You know, you see on the Kickstarter page, add 3 months to 6 months to a year on top of the date they tell you. Because that's how it just works. They fluff it. They best case scenario on the Kickstarter page. Don't believe it if Massive Darkness says it's coming January 2021. BS. You'll get it in like March or in the summer. Like that's just how it is. All right. Ghost Child says Sword and Sorcery is solid. I agree. But it's not for everybody. There's like some people that just don't like it. There's a lot of complex, fiddly rules to it. But man, if you dive into that system, it's just fun. But it's also deep, and I like that. And yeah, everyone, like all you here in the chat, I'm sure everyone's got a copy of Frosthaven on the way. So when is that going to arrive compared to Massive Darkness? Because if this comes around the same time Massive Darkness comes, that's going to sit on my shelf of shame, or pile of possibilities, whatever you want to call it, and it'll collect dust. And then other games will come. I'll play through Frosthaven, I'll play through other fantasy games, and then I may never be excited to go back and play it. It's just the problem with Kickstarter. Sometimes it arrives too late after other things have hit, and other distractions have happened, other Kickstarters have happened, and you just don't care about it anymore. It's not as cool. It takes a year and a half to come out. The industry changes sometimes that quickly, where something just comes out, blows it out of the water, and makes you not care about that game anymore. That's happened to me. That's happened to me in the past. So yeah, that's the problem. Yes, I said the SH word, I'm sorry. Freudian slip, I guess. All right. So Massive Darkness 2, I was looking around some Reddits and stuff, trying to find out more info, but I couldn't find it. But let's see. Do we have an email yet? I'm going to check my inbox. We're going to see. Find the email yet. Did anyone let me know if you guys get the email for the Kickstarter going live, and then we'll refresh or try to get to the page or whatever. I'm going to keep an eye on my email. Hopefully get it out there. But if any of you guys notice it and I don't get the notification or something, I mean, I have my phone here too, but it should be going live in the next 4 minutes or so. And let me check on the chat here. I know I've missed a bunch of it. Just trying to get through all this stuff before time runs out. We can talk about the Kickstarter as soon as we flip to the page. We're going to read through it all. I'm going to go through it for the first time. If you're not interested, that's okay. And then after I'll give my thoughts as we go through it. We'll see what the prices are. We'll see the delivery date. Shipping we know is going to be expensive. All these Kickstarters, they won't mention shipping on the main page until the very, very bottom. But that's a real thing. And then they screw you later sometimes in the pledge manager where they'll show you shipping estimates. But as soon as you add like one tiny thing, and then they'll say, oh, that was just an estimate. That's another $20 of shipping. But it's like I added like a tiny miniature add-on. It's like, well, sorry, that adds $20 more to ship. So you got to watch out for that stuff. Especially depending on which country you're in. But yeah. You can tell there's a lot of salt here. I'm not a Kickstarter fanboy. I'm not wowed by a bunch of miniatures in a box anymore. That died on me in like 2017 when the big wave of that stuff happened. Now I need to have great games. Too many big ass, heavy, cool mini or not games or other games sitting on my shelf that I never played, or ones that come out, I read reviews, and they're all just a big meh. They all have great miniatures in them. They sound good. The taglines and the few points they add to the game sound great. But then when people play it, it's like there's not much content. It's not that great of a game. Just more of the same, and it's all a big meh. So that's the kind of glasses I'm looking through here after Kickstarter and board games have been going on in my life for 8, 9 years, whatever. This is where I'm at. All right. Let's see. Any thoughts on Frostpunk? Yeah, I'm excited. I watched a bit of that again. Tabletop simulator playthroughs. I can't do it. I saw it for a few minutes. I see them talking, mouses flying around. I don't know what's happening. The components look like trash. The graphics look like trash. I can't. I have to wait to see some Frosthaven, read about it, look at some product shots, see how much gameplay is there, look through a rule book. I don't know. I'm excited for it though, because I like this War of Mine, and I think it's by the same developers or designers or whatever. I know the game is, I believe, the video game, and I like the kind of game it is, but it's like, yeah, shipping to Canada always sucks too. Yes, but yes, Frostpunk. I'm curious. And Frostpunk, I don't know the retail with Awakened Realms or whoever's doing it. Those kind of games, there's like this War of Mine's easy to get at retail, but that's handled by a different company. But some Awakened Realm games are like, you're never going to find them at retail. So it's like, you always have that to think of. I don't know. But Scobber says, honestly though, Rob's Gaming Table, check out Oathsworn overall cost in minis pledge plus add-ons versus all-in. The shipping cost goes down with all-in, making it just a few bucks more. Oh, I didn't know that. But I don't need all the extra stuff in Oathsworn. I don't need the gimmick of the guys changing their arms and stuff. I don't need the little trees and whatever, and I don't need metal coins. I want all that stuff. I just don't need it. I don't think it'll change my game experience any. I'm all about the gameplay expansions. That's how I look at it. If it adds gameplay, more gameplay time, or makes gameplay more interesting, then I want to do it. But if it's just cosmetic, I don't know. All those extras, I could spend that on a whole other Kickstarter or a whole other board game. Yule says, I definitely see difference in Massive Darkness 2 from Massive Darkness 1, but I'm thinking of waiting till retail. I might be in the same boat. I want to try Massive Darkness. I just don't want to go back and spend money on the original. And they will have a conversion kit. So if you did buy Massive Darkness 1 and feel like Massive Darkness 2, you know, makes your other stuff useless, they're actually going to have a conversion kit to bring it in because they did make changes to the system. So you'll need to bring your characters up into Massive Darkness 2. So supposedly that all works. They have a conversion kit. It's going to be included free in every pledge. I'm sure it's just a bunch of cards. Nothing big. Oh, it's up. It's up. How do we do it? How do we do it? Do I just refresh this? Boom. Thank you, everybody. See if I actually got an email. No. Get email? Checking my inbox just for fun. No. No, no email yet. They're probably stuck at the border because they're not essential. You know, trying to get through the border because of COVID. The emails just aren't getting here quick enough. Just kidding. All right, let's check this out. We got the money flying in here. Yep. Available in English and French. Okay. I've already watched the trailer. If you guys haven't seen the trailer for Massive Darkness 2, I've linked that down in the video description. You can watch that. It's a couple minutes long. Just fancy computer graphics. All right. Let's see here. Yep. Bunch of big minis on the board. Just what you expect. I like how the dice are not like Zombicide's D6s. They're more like Dark Souls dice. They have different colors, have different levels of damage and risk and that kind of stuff on them. The dice get better. And I like that, having custom colored dice. I think that's a huge step up from Zombicide where you're just rolling D6s, a bunch of red and white D6s. That's lazy, that's plain. But in this one, I like the Dark Souls style of that. You can tell that's exactly where it's from. Plastic dashboards, it looks like. But let's see the pledges. Hold on, I just want to see the pledges. We got, this is US dollars, mind you. I put it in US dollars here. So $100. You get Massive Darkness 2, you get an upgrade pack, which I don't have Massive Darkness 1, that's useless to me. And you get all applicable rewards. So all the canned, planned, pre-order bonuses, aka stretch goals, they're just pre-order bonuses. So it's most of the junk they'll add to the game that you may or may not use by buying it up front and paying shipping versus supporting your retailer. Is it worth it? I don't know, we'll see. All right, you can pledge 145, so they only have 2 tiers unless it's not scrolling down for me here. Happening. Yeah, I guess that's it. Not going down any further. I don't know. So 145, you get Massive Darkness 2, Heavenfall campaign expansion, an upgrade pack, all rewards. So there you go. It's simple. That's simple. I like this. It's simple. So 145 US dollars plus 30 US dollars shipping probably, or something around there. Obviously, more or less, I'm sure. We'll see it at the bottom, I'm sure. But so like, I don't know, pushing probably with add-ons and stuff, you're probably pushing like 200 US with shipping and all, but we'll see. Okay, so Massive Darkness, let's scroll through here and see what we got. The Darkness Returns. A long-awaited sequel. I don't know, it's only been 3 years. I don't think it's that long-awaited, but maybe because the first game was so meh, people were like, I need something better. So maybe it's been long-awaited. Shots fired. Oh, we got some backers in the chat. Okay, let's see. Revamped rules. Here we go. This is what I'm excited for. After extinguishing the darkness that was taking over the world for the first installment, a brand new group of Lightbringers is ready to face the source of all evil. Hellscape is more than just a sequence to the story. With new characters, components, system, revamped rules, this 2.0 version will take the adventure even further. Yeah, they kept saying, the designers kept saying, we listened to the community, we heard the complaints, we saw the reviews, we need to make it better. And that's what they're doing here. Hopefully they did it enough. And you know the miniatures will be great. Come on. The components will be great. No issues there. Massive Darkness 2 classes are fully asymmetric, each with their own toolkit, taking the RPG experience even further. This is what got me super excited about this game and actually considered backing it. I watched it in practice on the playthrough stream, which I've linked in the description. I will listen to them talk about it in a Gen Con panel I signed up for, showing off how the wizard, as the wizard class, has their own like little dashboard amulet mini game. They basically are asymmetrical mini games. So the wizard plays this whole little mini game with some wheel. There's a paladin that plays this mini game where they can hand out little colored discs, put them under the other party, be like a support class. And based on, you can see it here, these cards that they put underneath each column, each colored circle, you can make like little combos and benefits depending on who you've targeted with which color, like aura or whatever it's called. You have your own special dashboard. This is actually the Berserker's one, but it's the Paladin's one similar. The Berserker, all the damage they take, you take health tokens, you see it here in the animation, they take those health tokens and they put them on this dashboard, and it builds up as like resources that you can spend to fire off events on that you've abilities that you've piled up on the Berserker. So every class seems to be playing some little mini game where they're like moving something around or trying to build up or help their party or make themselves stronger, which is kind of neat. I think it's kind of fun that not everyone's just playing the same. Like in Zombicide, you're just like, I've equipped a melee or a range, I move, I roll some dice, I hit or I miss, next. Like, yeah, you may have one ability, you may get a couple abilities unlocked, but this, you have those abilities, but then you also have this sideboard, dashboard mini game thing going on that's unique to your class. Like the rogue has like a bag building mechanic where there's a whole bunch of tokens in a bag and you can add tokens in as you level up and upgrade, and then you pull those out and you can use them to like augment your actions you're doing on a turn, which is super neat. The ranger we have not seen, but it says it reveals cards to control the timing of attacks. Investing more time grants precision to hit the bullseye, but taking too long may lead to missing the mark. Okay. So each card has like a time cost, I guess, on it. So you can play more stuff as the ranger, but the more you play, the more chance you have of missing, I guess. But if you only play like 1 or 2 cards, you might hit not as strong, but you for sure will hit. I don't know. That seems neat. Yeah, here's the rogue, the bag building. So yeah, you throw some tokens into a bag based on what abilities you've unlocked. There you go, just like I showed. Yeah. So it's neat. Each class plays different. And this is what was like, all right, you might have my money. You might have my money. Oh, you got the email? Well, that's what has me interested. It's not just plain old Zombicide in a dungeon crawler. It has more layers to it. It has differences. It has more interesting mechanics. So far from what I've seen. I don't think I've seen the Shaman, but I think they did talk about it actually in one of the streams I watched. Channels the energies of nature, fire, wind, water, earth, to turn them into wondrous magic of different sorts. Let me try to zoom in here if we you guys can see this better. Yeah. There's some kind of, oh, where is it? Here. Yeah, there's some kind of sideboard mini. It looks like you're playing bingo, maybe? No, you're trying to move some dial up a track. So I guess you're spending mana to move your like token up to get the elements and use the elements to power up your abilities. I don't know, but I'm interested either way. Doesn't seem too heavy. It just seems interesting. It's just cool that I'm gonna have, like, everyone knows from like Root and stuff that like asymmetry in games, like people love that stuff, and it makes every player in the party at the table, I'm sure in this situation, feel like they're contributing something different. It's gonna be interesting trying to teach some players this game, be like, no, this is how you need to focus, how you need to play. But it's cool they play different. I like that a lot because that's how it should play in a dungeon crawler or an RPG style game, right? And here's the paladin, what I was talking about. So you give out these discs. So you have these discs. But based on which cards you've played underneath each disc, like he's going to put a card, yeah, you get like extra abilities or something tied to each color, I think, which is neat. So Heather says, I'm skeptical about them streamlining a game after Starcadia Quest. I've heard that problem too, actually. That's funny. That's not the first time I've heard that. They've streamlined some things, but then they've added complexity in other places, which I think is good. Like, I think it's good. Like, I'm assuming they've improved things, but I don't know. So in the base box, whoa, surprise, from backing how many Cool Mini or Not Zombicide games? 6 heroes. Yep, that's standard. Very cookie cutter. So you get a Paladin, a Berserker, a Shaman. You get your Rogue, your Wizard, and your Ranger. I'm not worried about the miniatures, not worried about any of that stuff. It's cool. It's fine. 56 mobs. You get Infernal Imps mob. I'm sure they're going to add more mobs as the stretch goals unlocked. Oh my god, you get a 7th mini or this mini or that mini. That's the way it works. Infernal Imps mob. They get a leader. Then you get the minions. Oh, this reminds me. The other thing I saw in the playthrough, which is pretty cool. It's not just like Zombicide, where you open a door and it's going to spawn in every room. You flip cards randomly. It's on the map tiles, there's specific spots that you know in advance where the treasure is going to be and where enemies are going to be on specific like X's or spaces when you play. So that's kind of cool. And then you get a random enemy off the deck, but you also get a random weapon that they get to use. And it joins with like the enemy's power plus the weapon make the enemy act different, which is super cool. And when you kill the enemy, they drop that weapon and you could take that weapon and use it. That part, I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Like very like I don't know, like loot gathering, I guess like Diablo maybe. So you get these fire entity leader, fire entity minions. Then you get Satir's mob. Get a Satyr. I know we were trying to figure out how to say this in Mansion of Madness. Satyr. I don't know, I'll say Satyr, but we get gargoyles. So quite a few little groups of enemies. We get undead, of course. Gotta get the undead in there. Skeletons, gotta get your skeletons. Get fallen angels. Yeah, this is quite a few different enemies. I hope they act all differently, like feel very different. And a demons mob. So tons of miniatures. Okay, we know this. 4 roaming monsters. I don't know what that means, but they're roaming. I assume they, I don't know, start somewhere on the board and just roam around, or they like, I don't know what they're like. They like called necromancers in Black Plague kind of thing, like their own special rule set kind of miniature. I don't know what roaming guys are. Those who are worried about shipping, wait for it to hit retail. Cool Mini or Not stuff will hit retail before all the Kickstarters get their pledges. That is something CMON does. So do not think if you back this on Kickstarter, you're going to be treated any special way and get your stuff any faster. They used to do that, but then they just stopped doing that. It's all about the retail. It's all about making as much money as possible. Once they get your money, Cool Mini or Not will close down the Kickstarter, barely update you. They won't talk about that game because they're too busy. Their marketing department's too busy pumping the next Kickstarter, the monthly Kickstarter they do. So yes, it's just a pre-order system. You're on here, you're putting in a pre-order. You'll get extra stuff. You'll pay extra for that. You'll pay extra for shipping. But the stuff will come to retail. And you can pre-order the stuff with your local game store, I'm sure. So do not worry. And that's a lot of stuff in the box. Will you play all this stuff in the box? Probably not. They'll have expansions at retail. You'll get that stuff too. There will be a couple Kickstarter exclusives. But do you need that? Like, will you be... Is this the only board game on your shelf? Like, you're going to play other stuff. That's how I look at it now. The reality of doing this for years is I'll get a game full of stretch goals and stuff. That stretch goal stuff, I barely even get into it before I'm on to the next game. And I've like lost interest or I just don't have time for it and I'm worried about the next thing. So we got a couple bosses in there. Okay, they're bigger miniatures, I'm sure. So Reaper. Battlecry says... Roaming was more like patrol types, ran up and down the hallways. Oh, okay. And Michael says, roaming monsters are higher monsters, more damage, more hit points, and some special abilities, kind of. And they're the mini bosses that patrol through the map. Oh, you guys are awesome. Thank you for the help. I was not sure what that meant. I assume like they roam around the board, but like, is that it? But it sounds like they're just mini bosses, kind of, which is cool. It is less expensive. This is the problem. So it's going to seem cheap because of how many Kickstarters you backed recently that cost so much. But those are coming from smaller companies that don't have the higher print runs that these guys can get. And these guys with Asmodee behind this company, they can get that you know, negotiate those deals, have those partners. They've done this so many times. They have a new Kickstarter coming down the line. I'm sure they've negotiated deals with their manufacturers because they throw a lot of money at those guys, a lot of projects, a lot of business. Cool Mini or Not has that, like, it can squeak out more value sometimes just in components because it's more mass produced. Some Kickstarters only hit Kickstarter only, and it's like a small company and they do a small print run. You have to pay more for that. It costs more money at a factory to do a smaller print run. But Cool Mini or Not does a huge Kickstarter print run, and they also do additional on that print run to satisfy all the retailers and get it in the retail chain globally in all different languages and stuff. Just imagine the deal you can get with a factory when you're like, I'm going to be printing this many tens of thousands more copies than the little guy. And they'll go, okay, we'll give you a better price. We'll give you a better deal. Oh, and by the way, we have another Kickstarter coming next month, and another Kickstarter coming the month after that, and another one after that, and that business is all coming your way. And then they're like, all right, let's work out some good deals here. So that savings, you can see some of that in a Cool Mini or Not project usually. And they've got it down to a science. I'm sure they've shaved off like a lot of overhead and have made it like as efficient as possible as the years have gone on. Oh, you think they'll add 5 more pledge levels before the end? And it's funded? Oh, I'm not worried about it funding. What was the fund limit? Like $200? Like is that what their goal was? Let's see here. Sorry, I'm scrolling fast. 300,000? No, the real goal they need to hit for this to print at the proper price is probably like 2.2 million or something like that for sure to get the price they need. I guarantee. This is just a fluff marketing thing. Yeah, don't believe that. Don't believe that. Just all for marketing. They're still doing that stuff. It's stupid. But if that excites you, that's great. Sorry, I'm scrolling fast here. I'm trying to get back to where I was. I'll scroll a little slower. Sorry if it's being weird. I go through this long image. One of these days, Kickstarter is going to change their page layout format, make this more friendly, where you can like scroll through images and stuff. Not scroll through, but like kind of like PowerPoint presentation style, maybe, or something, or use this left hand like table of contents a lot better, so I can jump down to different stuff other than story and risks. Like I don't know why companies don't use this more, where I can jump down to components, stretch goals, like all that stuff. But I think they don't want you to skip anything. That's why they do that. They don't want you to be easily able to get down to the shipping on the page, because that might make you not want to back it. So a bunch of components that don't mean anything unless the gameplay is good. You get a bunch of double-sided tiles. This is all standard Zombicide stuff, standard Cool Mini or Not stuff. A bunch of super tiny card decks. Dashboard cards. Bases for the minis. I love that stuff. That was always cool when they started adding that stuff to the games. Tell which miniatures are yours, which ones are certain type of enemies and that stuff. I like that. Lots of stuff in the box. Okay, now here's the expansion. Heavenfall is a campaign expansion bringing the host of heavenly enemies and challenges to the Lightbringers will need to face in order to keep the darkness from corrupting paradise. What does this actually add to the game that supposedly you can't do with the 10 scenarios that are in the game that it uses? This expansion brings all the extra components and rules necessary to play any mission in Massive Darkness 2 in campaign mode, experiencing a deeper, long-term character progression and keeping achievements from mission to mission. So it doesn't add new scenarios, it doesn't look like. It just adds like the boons and the items and stuff you would take forward in a campaign, and probably tweaks the leveling and stuff, makes it slower. It also adds this thing, which I saw and also kind of made me excited a little bit, was they have a town that you can go back to between scenarios. And you can play like little mini games. You can gamble. You can get battle goals similar to Gloomhaven out of the tavern, where you draw a card and it gives you like a side quest, but it's basically like a battle goal from Gloomhaven that you have to try to achieve in the next scenario to help get you a bonus. So these guys paid attention to Gloomhaven. Everyone in the industry is doing it, and if you're not, you're going to miss out. So Gloomhaven and Frosthaven and Jaws of the Lion, if you're making a dungeon crawler, you got to pay attention to those games and look at that value you get for the money from there and the amount of content you get and the quality you get. You got to pay attention to that stuff. And if you're not adding stuff like this to your game, where there's extra like little bookkeeping and the campaigns and stuff, you're just going to fall behind. So it's cool that they added this. I just wish it was kind of in the base game, so that everybody who buys this at retail would get a taste of this, and this might pull them into other campaign games and other heavier games. But instead, they've left it as like the base game's just 10 separate scenarios, standalone sittings, and the campaign stuff, you have to find the expansion to get it going. Fine if you're on Kickstarter backing it all together. Just at retail, you know that expansion will be printed less of. It'll be harder to find. It's just the way it always is. I wish they just put this stuff in the box, charge the extra $5 these components cost. And yeah, because I don't think there's miniatures. Oh, there are. Oh, never mind. Never mind. There's miniatures too. I had to keep scrolling. That was not all the components. This is misleading. This picture is misleading. But yeah, roaming monsters. You get a couple more, another boss, a single boss. You get, 2, I think that is 2 roaming miniatures, and you get the Angels mob to spice up your game. So I'm sure you can use this stuff even if you don't play the campaign. Just adds more variety to your base box, I'm sure, being an expansion. Here's your components. You get the double-sided boss dashboards for 3 bosses to help, I guess, make them work differently in the campaign. 4 double-sided game tiles. Oh, you get some more dice. More dice. Okay. More cards. And there's your campaign book. I'm sure it has some story in it, which is cool. I'm liking everything I see. I just wish this is what came out back when, like, the first Massive Darkness came out. I wish this is what it was. This is what it was. Where's the delivery? Yeah, September 2021. Plus delays. This is not going to come out till like January 2022. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. January 2022 is when I'll see it hit my doorstep. If I were to back this on Kickstarter, it'll probably hit retail by that holiday season. I bet it'll hit retail in November of that year. But nobody's getting a Kickstarter by September 2021. Not based on the track record and the backlog that Cool Mini or Not's pumping through right now. Plus the future Kickstarters they're going to be busy managing and working on. But I could be wrong. I could be wrong. But it's just my assumption. This is my jaded assumption. Sorry, I mean January 2022. I meant to say 2022 if I didn't. It says September 2021, but add 3 months plus. I'm betting January 2022 is what I meant to say. Sorry. If I said 2021, I meant 2022. The next year after this date. And it'll come that fall, you might see the base box in retail. Like you might see that in retail because they'll prioritize that, getting that into retail. Because I think that's all handled by Asmodee. That's handled by like a company that Asmodee has a hand in Cool Mini or Not now, for those who don't know. Which is why we don't know anything about Descent right now. And we probably won't know anything about Descent, the new Descent 3rd edition or whatever, until this Kickstarter is done and they've cashed the money against your credit card. Because they don't want to conflict. Because Asmodee owns Fantasy Flight Games. Asmodee handles the retail and stuff for Cool Mini or Not now. There's a tie there. If you go to any convention now, you go to Asmodee's booth to get Cool Mini or Not games. That's just how it is. So I think that's why we haven't heard anything about Descent. That's my conspiracy theory here. So they'll show you this, they'll get you all excited about this, and as soon as this Kickstarter ends, then we'll hear about Descent, and you'll realize, wait, maybe I should have put my money into Descent. Which is why I'm worried, why I'm not backing today, day one. I can't back this game right now. I may back it by the end of the Kickstarter. How many days do we have? I didn't see. I don't want to scroll all the way back up right now, but does anyone know how many days this Kickstarter is going for? I'm assuming 20-ish days, but maybe less. 21 days? 21 days. Oh, yeah, the usual. Thank you, Dragon. So, figure sizes. Okay, so yeah, they got some big minis in the box. Oh, Lightbringers, join us in an epic adventure exploring dungeons. A new room will be revealed for each of the 22 days of the campaign, each containing a brand new reward. Oh, okay, this is just how the stretch goals are going to be revealed. Which we'll refresh in a bit. We might get to see the first like stretch goals if they're quick enough, if the website didn't get destroyed. That's the other thing. If the Kickstarter didn't crash from a Cool Mini or Not project launching, you know it's not going to be as exciting as some of their highest money gaining ones, because usually Cool Mini or Not's known, and Awaken Realms now is known for like killing Kickstarter, like destroying the website for a bit, which is funny. But if it doesn't, then you're kind of like, wait, why did this one not break Kickstarter? Might be a red flag. All right, let's see here. So yeah, I would definitely get this pledge because I need that campaign box. Like that's how I play it on the channel. If we do a playthrough of this on the channel, I don't know, would anyone even want to see us play through this game on the channel? I would definitely want the campaign, and I would love to play through a campaign, playing a couple nights a week. Hopefully it would fit in a weeknight. It's not too complex, doesn't take too long. Kind of like Zombicide right now is a good weeknight game for us to play on the channel, or any of the Zombicides. This would fill that niche, and certain players that we play with would just love this stuff. Yeah, Tebaru, that's by a different company, but the first game is like Zombicide that they're using, but they're supposedly that Tebaru company or developer. I don't know if they're owned by Asmodee too, but they were just trying to use Zombicide as like the first game to like get everyone excited about it, but it's supposed to work with other games. It's supposed to be like a system. But I think the problem was at the time they announced Tubaru saying it was coming to Kickstarter 2021, at the same time they're talking about Zombicide 2.0, and then they're talking about Zombicide Night of the Living Dead, and also talking about Zombicide and Tebaru or Tubaru or whatever it's called. And that was just confusing, and that's just stupid. And I was just like, I'm not backing any of that stuff now. Because I remember being at Gen Con last year, and they were showing behind closed doors, they were doing demos of Tebaru running an alpha game of some Zombicide game that in Las Vegas or something that's totally different than Zombicide 2.0 that was hitting Kickstarter a couple months later. And it was silly. Like, what Zombicide? You just expect all these Zombicide players to back everything that has the name on it? I don't know. I thought it was silly. Too much. Too much. I don't know. Too much. COVID could have affected it, of course. But maybe people's impressions of trying it at Gen Con maybe just weren't the greatest. Because they actually had it fully working. They had a whole bunch of guys in Tebaru outfits sitting in a room. They had tinted windows. You could see in. You could kind of get an idea if it was being played. But they weren't letting the general public see it and touch it. They were only letting like very controlled demos with the media. And I didn't hear anything exciting from that. It was one of my most excited things I was excited for at Gen Con that year. And then I went there, I was like, I don't want to put my name down and come back for like a demo of this. I saw it through the window and was like, yeah, they're probably going to tell you, click this, do that. Here's an idea of how it works. You could see it. You just watch it for 2 minutes and you see what it's doing. Like a little electronic thing underneath the board. You put your minis on it, makes sound effects, plays story on the tablet and audio and stuff. A lot of stuff you're seeing out of apps tied to board games like Mansion of Madness already. It's just the game system knows when you put a mini on a certain tile or pick up a certain mini and move it and stuff like that. It's like, do you really need to pay that extra money onto that? I don't know. It really have to blow me away, but that's a whole other side tangent. But yeah, it's funny the way that's just gone dark and we don't know anything about it. Let's see. Adam's in here dropping some truth for us. If anyone wants reference, I backed Bloodborne from CMON on Kickstarter. One I wish I backed because of the IP, but I was tainted on those games and I was just waiting for retail. But I would love to do that. But it says estimated delivery was May 2020. Last update said they're looking at production samples. Ouch. Remember COVID though. COVID put at least a 2-month delay from factories closing or not being at full capacity. Plus shipping delays on just prototypes and stuff. Like anything shipped internationally right now is getting held up at borders, is being delayed because of shipping companies practicing social distancing, everything's slow, people getting laid off. It's crazy. So just imagine all that extra time when you're like, before you get something shipped from a factory to you like like an alpha miniature kind of to check out the quality and say to the factory, yes, go ahead, print more. Now that stuff just adds extra weeks and months of getting that first mini to even come to your desk to even look at it now. And that's just the reality of the industry right now. So I understand all the Kickstarters that are delivering late now is a thing. But because of all those Kickstarters being delayed that were supposed to come out this year, all being pushed back, that's going to push back everything going forward in like a domino effect. And don't tell me it won't, because it will. So when a company like this says September 2021 for Massive Darkness 2, I have to say BS. Like it's going to be longer than that, unless they're overestimating. But I don't think I'll have any Massive Darkness stuff in my house unless I wait for retail before 2022. I bet if I bought it at retail, I bet I would have it before 2022. But if I buy it on Kickstarter, I bet I'll have it in 2022. That's the reality. Is it worth the pre-order bonuses, aka stretch goals? I don't know. Oh, and now it's just estimated for December. They said licensing issues with the IP. Oh, which is true. That can happen. That can happen. That can happen. That's a thing. Yep, that's known. That's known in the industry. Fantasy Flight's had those problems with Star Wars in the past, getting things approved. It caused delays. We know. I don't know whether to believe it for sure or not, but Steam Forged Games use that excuse a lot during the Dark Souls, the board game Kickstarter, saying, you know, Bandai Namco is causing delays, approving things, or waiting for approval on stuff. But yeah. Yeah. Yeah, agreed, Adam. Yeah, he says I don't have an issue with delays, but like you said, why stick with an outlandish timeline or with an outlandish time frame? Yeah, so that's the reality now with Kickstarters. It's like I look at this and like I want it. Okay, I want to try Hellscape. I want to have a campaign expansion, but you have options. You can sometimes you can back a Kickstarter edition with your local retailer. They can do a retailer pledge, which I'm sure will show up later, or cool mini or not, you can do it on the back end. But one of my local retailers, you can go to a couple of them actually. You can go to them and say, I want to back this. I pay them in Canadian, the exchange rate conversion, and no shipping. Then cool mini or not will sell it to my friendly local board game store for less. My board game store will save some money, or they'll make some profit. I save shipping, which is worth it. That's an option. I don't know if they're doing it for this Kickstarter, but I'm going to look into that. That's another reason why I'm not backing day one. Another way to get it is just retail, just the retail edition. This will come out later. You'll see it in a few months. It'll probably pop up on your friendly local game store's website, or you can go in and they'll be able to go through their Asmodee portal, and they'll be able to pre-order a bunch of the games for you and all the expansions and stuff. So you could totally pre-order this through your local game store, support them, and get the retail edition. Yeah, you're not going to get those extra minis that come in the box and maybe some upgraded components. I don't know. But sometimes, like, do you need all that stuff? Do you need to pay the shipping up front? Do you need to pay more than retail? Because that's what's going to happen here. But sometimes they give you a good value. Sometimes there's a good value here. Sometimes it's $145 US. It's probably comparable to what you'd pay, but then remember, there's shipping. The shipping is a killer. I can't wait to get to it, but it's taken a while to get down there on purpose. They hide that at the bottom of the page for a reason, because they pass that on to you now. It's not in the price, which I hate. So it's like, do you want to pay that extra? And that paying that extra doesn't mean you're getting the game earlier than anybody. Do not let that fool you. Do not let that fool you. Like, it will hit retail, because that retail base box will come off the factory line before all the extra crap comes off that they have to bundle all together in your shipment. And that's just the reality of it. Rule book. I want to read that later. That's another thing. I'm going to read through this before I ever pledge, or before I even buy the game. And you guys should do the same. Read through the rule book. Unless you're just buying this to resell it later. Like, there's people that just do that. They buy these cool mini or not games, they hold them, wait for them to go out of stock, and then they pop them up on the secondary market going, look, I have all the Kickstarter stuff. Buy it from me, I'll make 50 bucks. That's a thing. Experience the Darkness. Okay, so you can play a demo. I saw you guys mention this in the chat earlier. I knew I'd get to it on here, that's why I didn't bring it up. I saw you guys saying it. You can play this game on Tabletop Simulator. If you play Tabletop Simulator, you could try a demo. So read the rules, go play this on there. Before you back it, they've given you the tools now, so you can try the game before you buy it in Tabletop Simulator form. And here's the gameplay video, but it's just on Tabletop Simulator. I want to see the real game. And here's some photos of the minis painted up with professional paints, or they're just computer images. Yeah, so that's if you're amazing at painting, you could make yours look like this too. Yeah, painted by Big Child Creatives. Please note, figures come unpainted. Nice fine print. Note that anything marked with this Kickstarter exclusive is an exclusive item for Kickstarter backers or for other crowdfunding platforms. Or when we have too many in the warehouse later and we do it in another Kickstarter to sell them to you. Or if you go to a convention, go up to our booth, we'll always have this stuff to hand out to you there. Or buy it there. That's the other thing. They have this stuff at conventions sometimes, yeah. With remaining stock available through conventions and special promos only. That's the thing. Okay, here we go. Shipping. Estimated shipping cost by hub for the shipment of a base pledge. Optional buys not included. That big yellow line is key. Don't let this fool you. This is just sticker price. It will be higher than this. Always. Every single time. Every time. Because you will add some metal coins. You will add some terrain. You will add a side expansion that adds a couple characters. You will do that, and boom. This goes up. Optional buys. You want cool, different looking dice. You're going to pay an extra $10 shipping. Just the way it is. Just the way it is. So add this to the number. I wish they would start adding this to the pledge, saying US 145 plus this much shipping, and they knew where. They know which currency I'm in. I can pick my currency in my country. But for some reason, Kickstarter doesn't want to put it so that beside my pledge, I can see what shipping average is to me, which they hide it at the bottom, and that is BS in my opinion. I hate that practice. Super sketchy. Super sketchy. But anyways, yeah, so $16 to $20 most states. 120 to Africa? That's rough. Oh, I see, it's by hub. I was going to say, why is Africa considered in the US? Latin America? I don't know. But anyways, this is coming from the US hub, which is in Florida. It's probably Quartermaster Logistics. EU, 30 to 44, most countries. But can get up to 73. Canada, 20 to 42, most cities. Plus add-ons. That's base, plus add-ons. Plus add-ons. So that's US. So for me, add like 25, 30% to convert it to Canadian. Like Oathsworn just cost me 50 US shipping. So like 70, whatever, 70-ish in US. Or 70-ish Canadian, sorry. I just paid to ship me Oathsworn. Silly, super silly. That's nuts. I understand there's shipping costs involved, but like, man, that's scary. I could buy a pretty damn good board game for that price. At my local game store. All right. I don't know these shipping rates. I'm sure that's normal stuff. I don't know. Here you go. They got their fake timeline. Around 8 to 10 months after the Kickstarter ends, you will get your shipping happening. It will commence. Oh, there's your retailer pledge. If you're a retailer, you can get it here and put pre-orders on your website. Tell your local game store, player group, if that exists anymore with the whole pandemic. But retailers can get a cheaper pledge, and sometimes you can get it through your retailer and save on shipping. So like I said, that's the other option. Again, they've hit it way at the bottom here. Way at the bottom. So if you have your friend local game store, show them this before you back it. If you're really interested in it, call them up, see if they're doing anything about this, and back it through them. Because they will get it at a cheaper cost. They'll make some profit, and you probably won't have to pay shipping. That's an option. Don't say it's not. Call. They probably, if they've bought anything from Asmodee, they'll be able to do this, I'm most likely, and be able to get that for you. So yeah, there's your pro tip. Yes, Alan says the truth right there. Add-ons always jack up shipping disproportionately. For many Kickstarters, buying the Kickstarter does in fact mean getting it before retail. Yeah, but not in Cool Mini or Not's case. No. Especially if you're in another country other than the US. If you're in the US, yes, you'll probably get your Kickstarter before it goes to retail in the US. That is the thing. I see that all the time when I follow communities after I back big Kickstarters. I'm in the groups and I see all the people in the US going, got my copy, yay! And I'm sitting here in Canada and they're like, yeah, sorry, still on the boat. There was a delay at port. I'm sorry. And then I get an email from my retailer saying the game's in stock now. And my Kickstarter is still 2 weeks out, a month out. Has happened so many times. Drives me nuts. I don't know if it's just a Canadian thing. But that hub in Canada that ships it is different than the retail chain or something. I don't know what they do there, but I always see it come up in my local store before I get my Kickstarter copy. Always that way. I've talked directly to companies about it, and they're just like, oh. That's why I started asking for review copies and press copies of games to play through on the channel, just so I could get them like when everyone has them, so I could play them when people care about the game, and try to like help them promote sales, help like the channel, you know. But instead, I get games too late, and it's like, okay, I'll do my playthrough now, and it's like, then I just stop caring, and then it's like, I'll play games when I play them. But yeah, it's a real thing in Canada and other countries. That happens a lot. But there are awesome companies out there that will seriously wait until the last Kickstarter is fulfilled before they even like push the green button on getting things into retail, and I think that's cool. Yes, and it's not just CMON, as Heather says, there are other companies. I'm not just saying CMON, but there are other companies that's happened to me personally, and I've seen other people have issues with that. I'm sure it's just a logistics thing. They don't plan it properly, and it costs money to have stuff sitting in a warehouse. I can understand why you'd want it in retail faster. If it's just they're like, hey, the truck's here already. It's like, do you want us to put this into the distribution warehouse, start sending it to stores, or have it sit here and it's going to cost you this much a day to store it here? Obviously, they're going to say, we don't want to pay extra, send it to the stores. Let's start making some money. Makes sense. It's a business. I understand, but I'm playing it better, I'm sure. Oh, okay. So let's do a refresh here. Let's go back to the top. Oh, no, it's going right to the same spot. Can we go to the story? All right, so we're already at, oh, this little plugin's not really. Oh, here we go. We're at 500,000 already. I don't know. That's quite a bit. Quite a bit. Over 4,000 backers. Been up for 40 minutes. Kind of slow for a Cool Mini or Not Kickstarter, kind of. I think. I could be wrong. I'm sure I can use these little tools to compare, but I don't know how to do that. So, read some updates. Oh, they had a roaming monster at 450K. Kickstarter exclusive. They have their stretch goals ready to go. 600K, they have something hidden in a treasure chest. Oh man, I need to see what's in that treasure chest. You know me. All right. Funded and the journey begins. So yeah, what I'm going to do, I'm going to read through that rulebook after I get off the air here. Over the next couple of days, I'll read through the rulebook. We have 21 days to back this. I have 3 weeks to decide. Hopefully we'll hear some Descent news. But yeah, I think I'm going to wait. The problem is this game has the stigma of Massive Darkness 1 hanging over it. A lot of people were meh. A lot of people backed that, spent tons of money, went all in, got tons of stretch goals, tons of expansions. If you look in retail, there's like 100 expansions for that game. And I'm sure a lot of people went all in, and when it arrived, they went, meh. And they got burned. And they don't want a meh game for hundreds and hundreds of dollars. When you know there's games out there for hundreds and hundreds of dollars that you'll get way more out of, that are much deeper, more rich systems, more rich stories, more rich campaigns, more rich gameplay, more options. It exists. But not everyone wants those kind of games. Some people want a light dungeon crawl they can play with their friends who aren't too serious into gaming and just have some beers and roll some dice. Did you say Descent news, decent news, or Descent news? Oh, Descent, Descent. Descent. What is it? Descent Legends of the Dark. 3rd edition Descent by Fantasy Flight Games. Hopefully we'll hear some more information, and maybe that'll distract me away from this game, and maybe that's where my money should be spent. And assuming FFG will have that game out in retail before a Kickstarter will deliver, because FFG usually doesn't start talking about stuff until it's like a few months away. So the fact they've shown a box already, once we see that first news article, you know the game's probably coming out within 6 months. Maybe a year, but probably within 6 months. Is there news about Descent? No, we only know about the box. We know this. This is all we know about Descent right here. It's a giant Gloomhaven, huge box. Act 1, Descent Legends of the Dark. This is all we know. And I talked about this at the start of the stream, is why I'm not backing Massive Darkness 2 right away day one. I want to see more information on this. This may be where I'd rather spend those funds. Maybe not, though. Maybe this is a letdown. But I know the guys at FFG, and they're probably seeing Gloomhaven success, and they're saying, it's taken away a lot of market share from Descent. We need to get that back. It's time to refresh Descent. Let's get a whole bunch of new players involved. Let's get the other players involved. Let's pull some people away from Gloomhaven and show them we can make a cool dungeon crawler again, and we're hip with the times. And you can tell that's what Massive Darkness is trying to do. They've improved. They tried to get a little bit more with the times, and that has me interested. But does it have me $200 Canadian interested? Or more? I don't know. I don't know right now. I'm going to talk it over with Mel. I'm going to read through more of the Kickstarter stuff when I go off the air, and I'm going to read through that rule book. And if it just seems like another Zombicide, I'm out. I don't need another Zombicide. But if it seems like a light dungeon crawler with some varied player powers that are enough to keep it coming to the table, to make players I play with excited, and to play it on the channel, and if anyone finds it interesting enough they'd watch it on the channel, let me know. I may look at it for that reason. And yes, Oathsworn, again, I talked about at the start of the stream. I know not everyone was here at the beginning, but I just backed this recently. It is now open for late pledge till August 31st. It just reopened on August 1st, coming out roughly in May, but again, could have more delays of next year. This may be where you want to spend your money instead. So for $179 compared to $145, let's see if we can see what's in that actually. Like, if I were to choose one right now, I would pick this one, and I did already. I backed this already. I missed out on the Kickstarter. I didn't have the funds. I just started YouTube full time. You know, I didn't have as much to invest back into games at that time, which was hard. Going from being able to back whatever I wanted to not. I had to make some tough choices, and I had to pass on this one. But now I had the second chance. It just reopened on August 1st. I did some more research on the game. Like, look at this. Like, this is more at my level, but again, I can't play this with the same players I could play Massive Darkness with. So it's like they're both fantasy dungeon crawlers, but one's more hardcore than the other. So this has like the hidden stuff, legacy elements, has campaign story, tons of components, tons of big miniatures, tons of varied powers and characters and all that stuff. Free content. Yeah, free, man. Free. Don't tell me this is free. Get out of here. That's a bunch of BS. But anyways, yeah. So a 45-hour campaign here, 15 chapters. Okay, that's already more that's included, and it's built into the base game. It's not an additional expansion from my understanding. That is included here. So I don't know. Does this give you as much as Cool Mini or Not? Remember, this is a first-time company that doesn't have the buying power that Cool Mini or Not has. You're going to pay extra. You might get a few less minis in the box, a few less components, but it's the gameplay, it's the story, it's the narration, if you're into that. The little foreteller app integration or whatever they got going on here. There's all that. So that's what I have to compare. And now seeing the price, I don't know. I don't know. If I were to choose, I'd choose this one. But that's me. But I might not have to. And again, Sword and Sorcery is coming. A new wave of Sword and Sorcery stuff. There's a bunch of stuff in retail already. If you've never played Sword and Sorcery and like Descent, and you're just that type of game, this exists. This is a more deeper, more advanced dungeon crawling fantasy game. A dice chucker, it's got it all, and it's deep, complex. That's out there, and a new wave of this stuff, a second wave of content is coming sometime next year, early next year, I think. That's when they last said. But we'll see. There's tons of delays with every Sword and Sorcery project. Every Ares Games project seems to have like crazy ass delays, but in the end, it usually comes out as a pretty decent project or product. Then we have Frosthaven coming. I already backed this earlier this year. And it's coming next year. I'm assuming spring, probably summer. They've already talked about delays already that are going to happen to the timeline. But yeah, I'm going to have this in my house most likely before Massive Darkness 2. And this, like Gloomhaven, we played for over a year. Over a year. Jaws of the Lion, we just played for like, how long? A month or two? It took to get through that, playing it aggressively. That's a shorter campaign. Frosthaven's huge. We're going to be playing that for months, if not a year. 6 months, who knows? When Massive Darkness arrives, I might be in the middle of a Frosthaven campaign. And I might not give two craps about Massive Darkness. These are realistic things I need to think about. How many dungeon crawlers will be on my shelf staring at me telling me, Rob, haven't played me enough, when the Cool Mini or Not box shows up from the Kickstarter? That's the cool part about waiting for retail. When it hits retail, I can make the decision then. Or if it's coming to retail soon, I can pre-order it at retail. We'll see. But yeah, I'll have to read more about it. And no, I haven't tried Shadow's Paths. It is in retail. I'm putting it on my September order, if it's still in stock. So Lord of the Rings, Journeys to Middle-earth. Another game. I know it's not dungeon crawling, it's more of an adventure game, but it's still in the same kind of genre of game, still similar type of game. They have new content coming this fall. They have a scenario that just hit. They have a big expansion that just hit. I haven't even got that expansion yet. So there's that to play. There's supposedly Madara is coming on the way to the channel at some point. That should come in the next print run. So we'll play some of Madara. I don't know if we'll get through the whole thing of Madara either before Frosthaven hits. There's lots of these kind of campaign dungeon crawly games, big storybooks that just make Massive Darkness maybe not look as enticing, maybe not worth the value. But yeah. Yes, Winters. if your boxes speak to you, it might be a good idea to slow down, man. It's not an issue that much right now. Oh, and Euthia. Yeah, Euthia is a thing too. Oh my god. Yeah, too many good fantasy style dungeon crawly or adventure games that exist, and too many on the way. And more Kickstarters are going to pop up before the end of the year. I have Chip Theory Games Kickstarter that's coming up, Burn Cycle. Oh, too much. Too much stuff. There's Alter Quest, as you guys mentioned before, something I'm very interested in trying on the channel that I haven't got my hands on yet. So many cool games like this, so much out there. It's like, does Massive Darkness have a place? I don't know. I don't know. Work in progress rulebook. Yep. So that's it. That's my thoughts. I don't know. That's my ramble. Yes, first world problems for sure. Arena of the Contest? No. I was interested in that at the time, but I don't have it. I didn't back it. I don't know if you can even get it at retail or anything. I've never seen it pop up on any of my friendly local game stores. Maybe it's a Kickstarter only thing. If it's that great, it'll come back to Kickstarter again. I know they did a Kickstarter literally after the first one was delivering. They came out on Kickstarter again, but I hadn't heard enough about it yet to like want to back it. And I reached out to the company. They ignored me. I don't know. I forgot all about it and just lost interest. Not that many people talk about it. But yeah. Yep. But yeah, that's another one. There's so many. There's so many. But yeah, I'm hyped about Oathsworn. I want to play that. But again, next year. All this stuff's next year. My fingers are crossed that Descent is a game that you can get before the year is over. I hope FFG has it already done, and they're going to blow our minds with it. I wish they showed more at Gen Con, but I think maybe it's not that ready yet. I have a feeling that's a next year game also. Unfortunately. But we'll see. Maybe they blow our minds, and as soon as this Kickstarter is over, all of a sudden we'll start seeing articles pop up, live streams, and it'll come out in a couple months. Who knows? Locotor says, I'll probably be passing. I have enough games designed as a campaign, and this requires an expansion to be a campaign. Yeah, again, I'm not impressed that it requires an expansion. Huge missed opportunity. They should have just threw it in the box, increased the price of the base box, made it bigger, and blow everyone's mind when you see that on a retail shelf, and have right on the front of the box. Includes the Heavens whatever expansion. What's it called? The Heavenfall expansion. Yeah, just include the Heavenfall expansion. Because you also on that same shelf have Gloomhaven. You'll have Frosthaven. You'll have Jaws of the Lion, which comes out today, I believe, August 4th. I think today is the launch day of Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion at all the friendly local game stores. It's supposed to be worldwide. I could be wrong on that. But for those who have been waiting for Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion, treat yourself. Go call up your local game store. Those who don't have Targets nearby or can't get a hold of it at Target. It's supposed to show up in local game stores. Like now. Like today. That's another thing. I forgot about that. But yeah. Go check that out. You can get right now and start playing. And have a blast. Jose says, how about we play a simple game such as Uno? Yeah, that's comparable. Boom. But if you don't want a campaign, maybe it's a good pick, no? That's true, Winterson. That's true. It does leave the option. It does leave the option. But it's like not that much extra, I'm sure, in the box that you would add in that you would like lose out on. And the thing is, it gives people that taste of a campaign. So it would help get these people into those kind of games, which I think would be neat. I don't know. I know they're aiming more at a mass market here. That's the thing, but. Oh, Cobra says his local game store has Jaws of the Lion in stock. Yeah, I think it's today, August 4th. August 4th is the date. I saw some US game stores that I'm on their mail list for, and some Canadian ones. I was getting some emails in my inbox saying that today was the date. So yeah, if you're waiting on Jaws of the Lion, don't try to buy it from Target. Don't buy it from eBay. Don't pay more than you need to pay. Go to your local game store, support them, buy Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion, assuming you can find a copy. But yeah, a lot of passes in the chat. I saw some people back it instantly right off the start, but I have a feeling they may change their pledge later. That's the cool part about Kickstarter. You can back it and change your pledge later and cancel your pledge before it's over. Oh, Frederick says, no Jaws the Lion here in Belgium, in Europe. I read mid-September at a local game store. Okay, okay. So Europe is mid-September. I'm sorry about that. I know in Canada and the US, they were saying August 4th. But I know before they were afraid to say a date. So maybe that's because it's not the same date worldwide. But I just know I've seen people say it's today's the date. But yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, if it's in Europe, not out yet. Yeah. That might be a translation thing too, maybe. The base game is for adventures levels 1 to 5. The campaign introduces their storyline and goes to level 10. Oh, cool. BitJam says he got Jaws the Line from Game Nerds for 40 bucks with free shipping. No friendly local game store here. Understood? Understood. Yeah, sometimes I say my friendly local game store too, but it's like an hour and a half away, and I just usually order online from them anyway. Especially during the times we're in. Oh, it's going to be in English there too. Oh, okay. I don't know then why your delays. That sucks. So, Christian is in the chat talking with my wife. She's brought up something too, and I mentioned a little bit at the beginning of the stream. Massive Darkness 2 Hellscape is something you could play with, you know, younger teenagers. I could play with my 10-year-old daughter more than I could play Gloomhaven. She has played Gloomhaven. She was able to understand and play Gloomhaven now. But, you know, maybe she doesn't want, I don't want to like keep reinforcing rules and options on her. Maybe something like, and Zombicide is a similar kind of game where it's, like I said, it's the more popcorn of these type of games. It's lighter, it's fluffier, it's more randomness, like more of that mass market board game stuff involved. Rolling colorful dice, moving stuff around on a map, blowing up things, tons of plastic, just having fun. Not too thinky, not too stressful, but just fun. I guess stressful when your dice don't go the way you want, but so this totally could fit that market. If you have a bunch of kids at home you want to play a dungeon crawler with, or play a campaign with, this could be for you. So that's why I backed a lot of lighter games I have, is to play with my daughter. So I totally understand that completely. And yes, Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion is not a lighter version of Gloomhaven. It's the same thing. It just teaches you Gloomhaven better than the original Gloomhaven does. So don't be confused at trying to play that with a younger crowd. It's not aimed at that. But this could. Winter said that is exactly why he backed and played Massive Darkness 1. Yeah, I was kind of mentioning at the beginning, I didn't go in about that too much. But I know we have a bunch of viewers on the channel who are parents, who play a lot of the games and family kind of games and watch some of those videos on our channel. And they still watch our hardcore games. And there's some people who just love those hardcore game experiences only. Don't have children and have a good gaming group. Sorry, not a good. A good amount of gamers in their gaming group is what I was trying to say, that want to play heavier stuff, that maybe have been gaming for years, have worked their way up, and they need something a little more meaty than Zombicide or Ticket to Ride or Catan or something like that. They might not want something this light. But Frederick says his son is 5, he loves Gloomhaven. I have to help him and tell him what to do, but he just loves moving the pieces and following the killing of the monsters, etc. And that's what you'd get from Massive Darkness for sure. Frederick, your son would love this game, I'm sure. More colorful. Rolling dice is always kids love that stuff. They love that stuff. Rolling dice, getting excited, hitting those results. Cobber saying Dice Forge is a good one for the kids. Recently got that, love it. Yeah, Dice Forge look cool. I tried that at a local game store. I was playing around with that stuff, and that game was neat. That game was neat. Heather mentioned, just saw you have Shadows of Kill Force scheduled. Yes, tomorrow I'll be playing Shadows of Kill Force solo. I've played it twice co-op now. I feel I got the rules kind of down, but we'll see. I want to play it later today when I get off the stream. I'm going to go play it solo for the first time to try it out. But we do have a live stream scheduled tomorrow, I think, at 1 p.m. Eastern. We'll be playing it. And then Mel and I will be playing it co-op this weekend at 12 noon, I think, on Saturday. I'm going to have some other live streams popping up on the channel. We play through games like this on the channel for those who don't know and are new here. And are like, what the heck is this Massive Darkness 2 stuff? We play games like this on the channel. Full playthroughs, full series, full campaigns. We also do other like Euro games here and there and stuff. But we're mostly like, we like the thematic, fantasy, story, Ameritrashy, dudes on a map, all that stuff. Yeah, we like that stuff here. So we play through all that stuff. If you don't know, subscribe, you know, do all that stuff. Is Sanctum any good? I haven't tried Sanctum yet. I may have that on the channel in the future. It's something on my radar, that's for sure. Second stretch goal just popped. All right, let's check one more before we go. Funny. All right, let's see. Refresh. Oh, I guess I could have just went to the updates. Okay, let's see what we get. Oh, sorry. I got to go to updates. Update 3. Oh, there you go. We got some snake mobs. So they're going to add tons of extra stuff to this. And Kickstarter exclusive, of course. So if you're a minis collector, huge incentive to back this on Kickstarter over waiting for retail. If you just love painting miniatures, want to have cases full of miniatures, or just like to have tons more miniature options in your game, back the Kickstarter if you're interested in this game at all. Because you'll get extra stuff for that. Not free. Don't let anyone tell you it's free. It's not. You pay extra up front. You also pay the shipping. And you'll pay extra on shipping because of this stuff too. Oh, another chest. Oh, man. We'll see. We'll see what they add. I'm curious to see. I don't usually follow Kickstarters that closely, even if I back them. I don't even read all the email updates and stuff usually. I'm bad like that. I kind of want to just set it and forget it, but then I know sometimes you need to like interact and update your address and all that kind of stuff. But I have too much other stuff I can play at the time that I don't need to like pay attention to the Kickstarter as it goes. And then usually I'll wait like a year, and then I'll be like, that game hasn't come yet, and I'll go and check. And it's like, oh, yep, there's the last update. There was delays. Okay, it should be coming around this time. It's all good. Yeah, because I'll get too stressed if I sit there like watching a game throughout the whole process, waiting for updates and stuff. Yeah. Get crazy. Oh, Scobber-backed Onk. I passed on Onk too, because I know that I'm sure that'll come to retail. I backed Rising Sun, still haven't played it. I have all the Kickstarter crap for it. I've not played it, not got it to table. I know it's a crime. I know I need to play that game. But because I didn't play that game, I can't back Onk yet. I need to play Rising Sun first. And I have lots of time till Onk hits retail, I'm sure. And yes, Jeremiah is asking, did we get the Trove chest? Yes, I caved, and on the last day of the last Cloudspire Kickstarter by Chip Theory Games, we added the Trove chest. Mel and I mulled over it. We watched the videos. We looked at the updates. We discussed it. I'm a little weary. I know they've left room in there for future possible Too Many Bones expansion stuff, but there will be a point where the expansion stuff does not fit in the box. They won't stop making Too Many Bones content if it's making them money because the box is full. Hopefully they just make a second box. But yes, I did back the Trove chest, and I'm looking forward. You'll see it on the channel. We'll unbox it. I'll play with it. I'll make you guys want it. It looks awesome. I can't wait to get it. Hopefully it arrives in one piece and doesn't get broken. I'm scared about that thing in shipping, actually. But yeah, we caved. All my Too Many Bones stuff is on top of one of our Kalak shelves, just spread out. I don't even put it back in the box ever. I just have it all spread out. So if I ever want to play it, I just grab like the gear locks I want and the deck boxes I want, and I run it upstairs to a table or pull it out on the gaming table in the basement, and we just play. I never put it away because then I don't want to sit there and like look through all the different boxes. I don't have a good storage solution for it. And that's why I was like, all right, I want the Trove chest, get all the containers, be able to pull out Tyrants real quick. I like it. Yeah, Alan, I'm in the same spot. Rising Sun, all in, sadly, still in shrink. I did Rising Sun. I don't know if I went all in, but I got a lot of stuff for it. A lot of stuff for it. I want to play it on the channel at some point, but yeah, it's still just staring at me. It's another game where I'm like, I spent hundreds of dollars on, and when it arrived, I was playing other stuff and just didn't care about it when it hit. But when I say it, I speak from experience when I say, like, if a Kickstarter comes out a year and a half from now or more, who knows what is in my collection by that point? Who knows what I'm playing? Who knows what experiences I've had that make that experience I saw on Kickstarter years in advance not as impactful or not as desirable anymore. So yeah, that's the reality. You gotta weigh all this stuff, right? I don't have unlimited funds. I have far from it. So I'm talking from truth here. I'm not BSing you. I'm not making some paid preview here. This is truth. And sorry I'm not all rah-rah about it, but I'm interested. I want this game. I do. But I just don't know if I'm going to do it through Kickstarter. That's where I'm at. Yeah, they'll hit 1 million today probably. They'll hit 1 million today. I don't see why they wouldn't. We'll see. We'll see. All right. Go for a couple more minutes here. Let me just see. I'm just checking the chat. It's going kind of quick. I'm sorry, guys. I'm missing chat. But let's go. Good night, man. Thank you so much. Late. Excuse me. Frostbite's bringing up a good point. This or Frostpunk. When does Frostpunk launch on Kickstarter? Is it August 8th or September 8th? Does anyone know? That's another one. Frostpunk. And I don't know how much Frostpunk is going to be either, so it's hard to compare. Frostpunk board game. Let's see if I can find some info. Yeah, I totally understand Philip. He says, Oathsworn looks great, but I'm leery of those long campaign games that I won't finish. And that's understandable too. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I mean. By the time a game arrives, like Oathsworn is the same idea. Once Oathsworn arrives, I might be in the middle of some other campaign that we're trying to finish, or maybe we have 3 campaign games we haven't finished yet that I really want to keep playing. I don't know. I might have to start just not finishing campaigns. We'll see. But that's why I have to make choices like that. And I hear you. I totally hear you. This is the problem. So it's like, yeah, Oathsworn, the same deal. Same criticism goes against that. Is like by the time that you get that in May or June or whenever it shows up, you may be in the middle of Frosthaven. You might not give a crap. It might not be as exciting anymore. Maybe Descent is already out. Maybe Descent just blows it all out of the water. I doubt it, but it could happen. Maybe Descent has like this app with it and everything, and like maybe it just has so much content and they've done it right, and it's like the right mix of like the rules are done well, the gameplay system's done well, the replayability's there, that's a story, the components, all that stuff. The amount of air in the box is lowered. All these things they could do that just blows it out of the water and makes more people just more interested in it. It has that Descent name on the box. Everyone who knows about these Gloomhaven knows what Descent is, usually. So yeah. Yep. But again, Massive Darkness 2, you'll find it later at retail, I'm sure. I'm sure you'll find it at retail. It's funded. People will back it. It's got 21 days left. More people will throw money at it. They'll make a retail copy for sure. And then just pre-order it from your local game store for like probably $100, $120 US, and you'll get the base game. The expansion will be $30 to $50 US, somewhere in there. Add the campaign on. Don't pay shipping. Support your local game store. But again, you'll be able to decide that when it hits retail, which will be over a year from now. Maybe close to 2 years from now. Who knows? Who knows? And it's like Massive Darkness seems very light and not as deep. And it's 2020 now. Imagine what it's going to look like in 2022 with all these games by then that have come out. Will it like even be less desirable? Who knows? I don't know. I'm a little weary of it. We'll see. We'll see. Locator says less air in the box means less new game smell. Sakabra says, such is the life of a gamer. Oh, shiny. Whoa, over there shiny. Ah, over here shiny. Oh, more shiny everywhere. Too much shinies. You gotta pick your shinies. That's the problem. I don't know what to tell you. I told you all that I can tell you, really. Or just play 24/7. Yeah. Yes, Edgar. That would be a solution. Not a healthy one, but that could be a solution. Roy says, right now I'm playing Scythe with all the expansions, and this game for what it is amazing. Rory, do you have the Scythe campaign expansion, Rise of Fenris? You can campaign your Scythe up. It's awesome. You should. If you're really into Scythe, there's some stuff in that box that just adds new stuff to Scythe, which I think is great. And you can play a solo campaign in that too, so that's kind of neat. Winterson says, strangely, I've never seen Massive Darkness 1 in the discount bin of any online stores, so it must have sold well. Maybe that is the reason for a second edition. It sold well enough, or else they wouldn't have a second edition. You're right. You're right. But just go look at Board Game Geek ratings. Go look in the forums. There's just not much excitement around that game other than the hardcore community, and I'm sure it's a lot based around customization and house ruling and stuff. I've gone through that with the Dark Souls community. I feel it's very similar. The game just came out and wasn't as amazing as it was sold to be up front, but if the components are good, people can take those components and spice up the rules and use what we've learned in other campaign games or other dungeon crawling games and improve those systems and make it work, which is awesome. So I don't know if that's what happened with Massive Darkness, but I have a feeling that's what happened. I heard the campaign is like very not great in Massive Darkness 1. Feels very tacked on and not a lot of thought put into it. Hopefully they fix that here. And Board Game Losers says, I was excited for Massive Darkness, and it was a great game, but was lacking on replay and campaign. I hope that this helped that. I will say the new mechanics unique to each character help. That's exactly why I'm interested. Exactly why I'm interested. So I don't know. I don't see a Frostpunk date anywhere. But I found a webpage. There's a link to Quackalope has a playthrough on Tabletop Simulator of it. They did that over Gen Con. So if you're curious, just Google like Frostpunk the board game gameplay. You should find a Tabletop Simulator playthrough if you're curious about the Frostpunk board game and like this war of mine. Yeah. It says coming to Kickstarter this fall 2020. Yeah. Found this website, frostpunk.glasscannonunplug.com. It has this, notify you when the Kickstarter launches. There's Facebook groups, email lists. There's the box. Okay. My understanding is you're trying to manage a city in like a harsh environment, steampunk themed, and you're trying to just survive. Similar to the idea thematically of this war of mine, not a very happy place. You have to choose feeding these guys over these guys, keeping these guys warm versus these guys here, and like running a city. For those that don't know what it is, but I'm interested, fully interested in this game. Another Kickstarter coming this fall. So the Kickstarters aren't over this year. We're only in August. Gen Con just happened. We have still like half the year basically of Kickstarters. There's gonna be more. There are more. Yeah, September 8th is what I heard for Frostpunk. But this is the problem. Like, I want to play this game more than I'm interested in Massive Darkness. So what do I do there? Do I save my money and throw it at this instead? You may have to make that choice. I don't know. I may have to make that choice. We'll see. Mel's already going to love this game. I already know. Yeah. So yeah, this is the problem right now. First world problems, board gamer problems. This is what's going on. All right. I think we're going to cut it here. Thank you everyone for hanging out live. We're going to end it now. That was our discussion on Massive Darkness 2, on the other games in the industry right now, all the things you can back, all the other dungeon crawling fantasy games out there, things that are delivering all next year that could distract your money away from Massive Darkness, maybe reasons why Massive Darkness is different and maybe you should get your money instead. And those are my thoughts. I'm not going to back it. In conclusion, I'm not going to back it today. I'm going to read through that rule book. I'm going to discuss it with my wife. We're going to look at what other games are already coming, games that we've kickstarted, games that publishers might be sending us, big campaign games like Madara that could be coming to the channel, Frosthaven we know that's coming, I backed Oathsworn, all these giant campaign games. Will I care about a 10 scenario campaign from a Zombicide weight game sometime in 2021 or 2022? I don't know. If I do, I could buy it at retail. I may just buy it at retail. I might back it. I'll let you guys know if I back it. And yeah. Thank you everyone for the support. Thank you to our Patrons for supporting us. If you're interested in supporting the channel, links are down in the description. Thank you for watching. Hit that like button. It means a ton. And let me know your thoughts in the video, or in the video comments is what I was trying to say. Sorry, dry throat. I rambled on too long. But we're back tomorrow with Shadows of Kilforth playthrough solo. We'll have some more Mansions of Madness 2nd Edition 3-player playthrough this week. Should happen. And then Saturday we're playing co-op full playthrough live of Shadows of Kilforth. So come check that out. You'll see some other live streams pop up on the channel. Hit up youtube.com/Rob's Gaming Table. And you can set reminders for all the upcoming live streams that are coming up. Or subscribe, hit that notification bell. You'll see our videos come up ahead of time in your subscription feed. And you'll get notifications when we go live so you don't miss it. Like I said, I want to hear your thoughts on Massive Darkness. As this campaign goes on over the next 21 days, feel free to leave comments on this video. Talk about the updates. Maybe there's some new stuff, some new pledge levels, some new stretch goals that make this more interesting and might really have me more excited into backing this ASAP. But right now, I'm just in the wait and see mode. So thanks a lot everyone for watching. Enjoy the rest of your day. I'm going to go play some Shadows of Kilforth solo and try that out. And I'll see you guys live tomorrow. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye-bye.